Giving folks time to come into the room. Go ahead and set the vibe. I have a moldavite, which is a crystal incense. I'm going to go ahead and light that because I got to set the vibe. Welcome. Make sure you have your water, stay hydrated. I'm a regret at heart. Giving folks a little more time to come into the room before I get started. Got some lo-fi chill beats going from YouTube. That's what you see playing in the corner. Because I always got to set the vibe. Got to set the vibe, right? Give folks just a few more seconds to jump in and we're going to get started. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get started with some deep breathing to get ourselves on the same equilibrium, on the same page. So we're going to start off with some deep breathing. I'm going to go ahead and pause the music. And if you will join me, we will take some deep breaths together. So if you will, just find yourself comfortable in your seat. Let your eyes gently close, or you can leave them low. If you're driving, do not participate in this portion of the midday check-in, okay? All right, so you can just release all the air out of your body. Take a deep inhale in. Hold at the top for a heartbeat. And release. Another deep breath in. Hold at the top. Release. Be mindful of the pauses between your breath at the bottom and at the top. Breathe in. And out. Really connect with your breath in this moment. 2 more deep breaths. Breathe in. Release. And 1 more deep grounding breath. Breathe in. And release. And slowly let your eyes open. And we're going to jump in. So welcome to your Self-Love Midday Check-In with Chantel Sarita. I am Chantel Sarita. And if you are new to the Midday Check-In, this is a space for us to come together to really check in with ourselves and learn a little bit about ourselves so that we can make life a little bit easier to maneuver. We can work with people easier. We can be better mothers. We can be better people in general. So that's what the midday check-in is about, starting with you and then being able to give outward. Okay. So I'm super excited to have you. Make sure if you're logging in and you want me to be able to see your comments, make sure that you click the link at the top of the video so that you can, sorry, let me turn my phone down. Okay. So yeah, make sure that you click the link at the top of the video so that you can put your name in there and give Facebook the permission to show your name, so that when you comment on the video, I can see who you are, and I can shout you out, because that's what I do. I shout y'all out. Okay. So yes. Let's jump in. So we are going to talk about, I'm sorry, I didn't change the title, but we're going to talk about, let me take this down for a second. We're going to talk about stress eating and self-soothing. And we're going to talk about Moon Day, because yesterday was National Moon Day. So I want to talk a little bit more about the emotional aspects that go along with the moon that you may not be aware of. So I definitely want to touch on that, because that's a sense of self as well. So I am excited to jump in today and to have this conversation. But before we do, of course, we have to do an icebreaker, because I want to make sure that we are breaking the ice so that we can get started and we can feel ready to go. So what is your go-to comfort food? For me, my go-to comfort food is breakfast. I didn't even realize that I was using food as a form of self-soothing until recently. And I think more so this morning, I really realized I'm feeling a little, not stressed, but just a little, I've been a little heavy lately, feeling a little heavy spiritually. And we'll talk about that during Moon Day. But that made me, when I have those types of feelings, when I'm feeling like not fully myself or not fully energized, I want to have like a full-on breakfast. Like I love breakfast anyway, but like that's one of the ways that I self-soothe, is by having a full-on breakfast. So this morning I had some waffles and some eggs, and usually I'll make like some sausage and something to go with it, and then have some coffee, some vegan sausage. But yeah, so that's like a way to like kind of soothe myself into releasing some of that anxiety. And we will talk about, last week we did talk about how that can be positive and negative depending on how you like your self-control. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. So I'm going to come back to the icebreaker once a few more folks jump on, and then I'm going to pop this back on here. But I would love to hear what your comfort food is, and what that looks like for you, and why. We'll talk a little bit more about why as we go into the conversation. But what's a go-to comfort food for you? Okay, I would love to hear that in the comment section. All right. So I want to introduce myself to you. If you don't already know me, my name is Chantel Sarita. Let me do this way. There we go. My name is Chantel Sarita, and I am your eclectic self-love coach. I've been working with gymnasts, dancers, athletes, in general, coaches, helping them to gain a more positive mindset so they can achieve their goals. And I, with getting my degree in sports psychology, I've really fine-tuned those skills of being able to be a good motivator by learning like evidence-based techniques. When I say that, I mean techniques that have been shown to be proven to work through research. So I use techniques like that. And through my self-love journey, my personal self-love journey, I realized how important it is to learn yourself, to help make life easier, to learn what you need, to learn what you want, to learn what you don't want, and to love on yourself no matter what that looks like. So through that journey and through my sports psychology techniques and experience in school and outside of school, I've combined those two together to become your eclectic self-love coach. So hello. I'm also a deliciously confident dance instructor. So I teach dance classes to help you to overcome different anxieties around dance, and self-esteem issues around dance, and low confidence around dance, and to help you really come to a place where you feel comfortable and confident, because you deserve to have fun when you move. You deserve to move, and you can move. Even if you feel like, oh, I'm not a dancer, I'm not a professional dancer. You don't have to be a professional dancer to dance. you can just love to dance. And even if you're in a space right now where it's like the joy has been taken out of it a little bit, it's still important. Movement is important. So being able to feel comfortable and confident doing so you can go out to the club and kick it with your friends and be able to dance, or you can go to a party and you can, dance with your husband or whatever your goals are. If you want to put on a little show for your boyfriend or whatever it is, you deserve to feel confident while doing that. So I help women to be able to step into that space where they feel like, yes, I can dance, I can live my best life, period, no matter where I am. So that's a little bit about me. So I'm here to lead you through this this self-love midday check-in today, and I'm really excited about that. And so I do have an announcement. I do have my self-love celebration that happens once a month. So this will be our fourth self-love celebration happening on July 25th, this Sunday, y'all, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So basically what self-love celebration is, it's like a combination of self-care Sunday and Sunday fun day. So those vibes, kind of bringing those together so that you can celebrate yourself, celebrate the love you have for yourself, learn how to love yourself in a new way. And it's kind of like it gives you that camaraderie that church brings without the religion. So you're coming together, you're supporting each other, we're encouraging each other, and I'm teaching you a few different skills that you can learn to love on yourself in a more impactful way. So we do guided meditations, we journal, we have a dance party, y'all. So make sure you put on something cute to dance in. You're going to get words of inspiration throughout, and there's a little section about that as well. You're going to get positive affirmations throughout. And then at the end, we do what's called quality time, where we sit down and we have a cup of tea and we just talk. Like we just chat, we chop it up. And we encourage each other, we share stories, we clap, snap, and shake each other through your celebrations, and we just have a good time. So this event is donation based, and it will continue to stay donation based, and everything that is donated goes towards this event. So being able to eventually bring this in person, because right now it's via Zoom, but being able to eventually bring this event into in person, so we can all come together, especially when things are becoming a little more safe. We can bring everything together, bring each other together, and celebrate yourself and celebrate your self-love in a new way. And being able to do that in person is going to be an amazing thing. So thank you so much for those of you who have donated. And if you are thinking about donating, yes, I'm here for it, because I want to continue this event and continue to build it out and grow it for you. Okay. With that being said, I want to check in with you as far as your homework from last week. So if you didn't get a chance to do the journal entry from last week, make sure you take a screenshot of this screen. Take a screenshot so that you can go back and do the homework from last week. But basically, keep inventory. So this is one way to learn about yourself through your journal, is keeping inventory of different things in your life. So what I mean by that is this is an ongoing thing. It's not like a sit down and write it out and then that's it. It's like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to circumstances that make me lean on food for comfort. I'm going to write those down. So, like me this morning, I realized that eating a more not heavy, but like a more like substantial breakfast is kind of a way for me to self-soothe. And I didn't realize that before today. So I'll go and write that in my journal. Or if at night, I get back from class and my feet hurt or my ankles hurt or whatever it is, my knees hurt from class. And I go and I have some ice cream. I've, then writing that down. So that's just what I mean by keep inventory, so that you can see the patterns that you have in your life and you can start making changes if you need to, or you can keep doing it if you need to, if it's working out for you, if it's something that's positive and is having a positive impact on you, then you know that is having a positive impact on you and you can continue doing so. Okay, so make sure you took a screenshot of that. Give you another second screenshot if you didn't do that from last week. So what are we talking about this week? Okay, this week we're going to talk about self-soothing. We're going to talk about stress eating. And we're going to talk about Moon Day. And I'm so excited to talk about Moon Day because I love the moon. I love cosmics. I love all the things out in the universe. So amazing and so cool to think about. So yeah, I definitely want to talk about this and talk about what that means and what it means to self-soothe. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that away yet. And what it means to stress eat, and then kind of diving into, the spiritual aspect, or the self what does the self have to do with the moon? And we're going to talk about that. If you've never heard that correlation before, we're going to talk about it, because as above, so below, boo. Okay, so a reminder, this is a safe space. We're going to be talking about stress eating, which can be triggering for some folks. So we want to make sure that you are creating a safe space for yourself and for each other in this area. When it comes to that, and when it comes to sharing vulnerabilities, this is a space where we keep this here. And you can obviously share this with people who you know are going to resonate, but we are not judging anyone here. This is a judgment-free zone. This is a space where you can come and share your experiences. I can share mine, and we can grow together. Okay, so this is a safe space, and we're going to continue to create and curate that safe space for you. All right, so obviously I have to do my research. I always do my research when we have these talks, because I want to make sure I'm bringing you that real. Okay, so I pulled up an article in when I was Googling and searching and seeing how self-soothing correlates with comfort eating and stress eating, and what that looks like, how those two things come together. And self-soothing is a concept whereby we use certain methods to regulate feelings. Woo. Let's break this down. Self-soothing is a concept where we use certain methods to regulate feelings. So first of all, self-soothing, right? That can be whether like we're kind of talking about right now, is eating something, the method that you're using to regulate these emotions, whether you're eating to do so, whether you are drinking wine, because I know I'm a culprit of that, drinking wine. We talked about that last week with Asha. Whether you like to go for walks, whether you take naps and you just sleep it off, whether you journal. There's different methods that can be positive and negative to help you regulate these feelings and these emotions. And the big part about this is, a lot of the times you might have these feelings and emotions, and I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday, but you can have these different feelings and emotions and not realize what they are. You may not know the name or how to put a word or a label on it. Speaking of my mom, shout out to my mom, because today is her, I think it's been like 13 years since she's been cancer free. And so we always celebrate on this day. So shout out to my mommy for that. And I'm going to definitely give her a call after this talk, because I just remembered that. But yes, so the different feelings that we have, sometimes you're not even really able to put your finger on what exactly is this emotion. I know I'm feeling some type of way. And sometimes you don't even know. Sometimes you're just reacting and you don't really understand that you're doing so. For me, I give an example. I tend to be passive aggressive if I'm holding on to different things that are bothering me, because I tend to do that sometimes, where I'll hold on to it and I won't say anything about it. And it be little things that happen that nitpick. And then they build up because I don't say anything. And then I start becoming passive aggressive, where maybe I was irritated because I got woken up the night before. So I wake up mad early and I start making hella noise to wake up my partner. That's like, I've done that before. But that's how I know like something is bothering me. And I need to address it. And maybe I won't even realize that something is bothering me, and somebody else has to point it out. But I'm open, and I make sure that I let my friends and the people who I love around me know that this is something that I'm working on. It's something that I want to get better at. So if you see me being passive aggressive, please say something. Let me know. And in that space, it's important to not pass judgment on where I am in that space, to let go of my ego, because I can easily be like, oh girl, you say I'm being passive aggressive, but whatever, you're not really paying attention to me. You don't know me like that. But really, I told them to. So I need to make sure that I'm being mindful of my ego when it comes to that, so that I'm not letting that get in the way. So there are, certain, like I said, certain things and methods, whether that's positive or negative, whether it's passive aggressive behavior, which is in my eyes negative, and depending on who you are and how you feel, it can be either or. But passive aggressiveness is not a positive thing for me. So that's a method that isn't something that I don't want to continue doing, and that I'm actively working on changing. And then there is positive methods that work to help you regulate your feelings, like going for a walk, or journaling, or taking a cool shower to get your body to calm down if you're feeling anxious, or a warm shower, or lighting some candles. There's so many different things you can do that are positive. And those are a few I've done. I've never taken a cold shower to calm myself down, but nice hot steamy showers with a candle and some essential oil at the base of the tub to get that aromatherapy vibe, I will definitely do that. So yeah, there's different methods to help you regulate these emotions. And I want to show you a video that is going to kind of bring this all together. And it talks about emotional intelligence. And in that aspect, I'm just going to let it talk for itself, but helping you to learn what your emotional experiences look like and how you can become more aware of them so that you can control and manage these different methods that you're using and not just doing them mindlessly.
Emotional intelligence is the quality that enables us to confront with patience, insight, and imagination the many problems that we face in our effective relationship with ourselves and with other people. The term emotional intelligence may sound odd. We're used to referring to intelligence just as a general quality, without unpicking a particular variety a person might possess. And therefore, we don't tend to highlight the value of a distinctive sort of intelligence which currently does not enjoy the prestige it should. Every sort of intelligence signals an ability to navigate well around a particular set of challenges: mathematical, linguistic, technical, commercial. When we say that someone is clever, but add that they've made a mess of their personal lives, or that they've acquired a fortune but are restless and sad, or that they are powerful but intolerant and unimaginative, we're pointing to a deficit in what deserves to be called emotional intelligence. In social life, we can feel the presence of emotional intelligence in a sensitivity to the moods of others, and in a readiness to grasp the surprising things that may be going on for other people beneath the surface. Emotional intelligence recognizes a role for interpretation and knows that, for example, a fiery outburst might be a disguised plea for help, or that a long political rant may be provoked by hunger, or that concealed within a forceful jolliness may be a sorrow that has been sentimentally disavowed. In relation to ourselves, emotional intelligence shows up in a skepticism around our emotions, especially those of love, desire, anger, envy, anxiety, and professional ambition. The emotionally intelligent refuse to just trust their first impulses or the inherent wisdom of their feelings. They know that hatred may mask love, that anger may be a cover for sadness, and that we are prone to huge and costly inaccuracies around whom we desire and what we really want. Emotional intelligence is also what distinguishes those who are crushed by failure from those who know how to greet the troubles of existence with a melancholy and at points darkly humorous resilience. The emotionally intelligent appreciate the role of well-handled pessimism within the overall economy of a good life. Emotional intelligence isn't an inborn talent. It's always the result of education, specifically education in how to interpret ourselves, in where our emotions arise from, in how our childhoods influence us, and in how we might best navigate our fears and our wishes. In the ideal society, it would be routine to be taught emotional intelligence from the youngest age, before we'd had the opportunity to make too many mistakes. It's because we have, until now, not taken emotional education seriously enough that our species has grown ever more technically adept while retaining the level of wisdom of our earliest days, with catastrophic results. We are now evolved monkeys with nuclear weapons. It appears that the fate of civilization depends on our capacity to master the mechanisms of emotional education before it's too late. An emotional education means something far beyond just normal education as we've conceived of it to date. Though it should ideally include courses in every year of school or college, emotional education is more than something that should just take place in classrooms at the hands of teachers and come to a halt around the age of 21. The central vehicle for the transfer of emotional intelligence is culture, from its highest to its most popular level. Culture is the field that can ritualize and consistently promote the absorption of emotional intelligence. The lessons might be embedded in a tragedy or a TV series, a pop song or a novel, a work of architecture, or a YouTube film. We can envisage the entire apparatus of culture as a subtle mechanism designed to point us towards greater emotional intelligence. We will never progress as a species and will indeed grow into ever greater, technologically armed menaces to ourselves until we've accepted the challenges and opportunities of properly educating ourselves in emotional intelligence. Our technical intelligence is great, of course. It's led us to tame nature and conquer this planet. But a wiser, saner future for the human race must depend on a capacity to master and then seductively teach one another the rudiments of emotional intelligence while there is still time.
So yes, basically what we are talking about here is the idea of being emotionally intelligent, to the space where you're able to recognize the emotions that you're experiencing, call them out, and then, deal with them in a proper way. I'm trying to find the picture that's going to help. Yes, this. Yeah. So this image is a great description of how your emotions are on the like the way that you react to your emotions are on the surface, but underneath the water, underneath the depths of everything, there's so much more going on. So, for example, if you are feeling, if you're feeling anxious, that may cause you to go in the fridge and grab some ice cream and eat the whole thing, or grab a bottle of wine and drink the whole thing by yourself. I'm not saying I've never done this before. Not saying I have. Cannot neither affirm nor deny. But no shame. But yeah, so, being anxious underneath, and that's just a broad term. That's just a broad emotion. Anxiousness underneath may, on the surface, this small little thing may cause you to go and get some ice cream. But really, you're feeling anxious. So what you really need to do in that space can be completely different from eating. Maybe you need to sort through your emotions. So you need to journal. Maybe you need to schedule an appointment with your therapist and talk it out. Maybe you need to call a friend and talk to them. But this video, I love how it talks about just the fact that there's so much more going on underneath, that you're only seeing the surface level. And we are not really taught this in school. We're not taught what emotional intelligence is. We're not taught how to be emotionally intelligent in the least. What we're taught is how to deal with it, and not even that. We're taught, when you're a baby, you cry and you're given a bottle, but maybe you just needed to go for a walk, or maybe you just needed to take a ride in the car. You weren't necessarily hungry, but that calms you down because you're used to now your parent giving you this milk every time you cry. So now that's your form of self-soothing, and you grow up doing that as well. Let's see here. I heard that there is a book called Emotional Intelligence that is really good too. Ooh, I'll have to check that out. I feel like I've heard of that as well, but it sounds like a good read. It sounds like a really good read because these are things that we don't learn about, right? Like, we don't learn how to be emotionally intelligent. We don't learn that, when I'm feeling, or when I throw a tantrum, really what it means is I feel unsafe. When I throw a tantrum, really what it means is I need help, right? When you get angry because somebody cut you off, really it just means I'm nervous about being late for this interview, and so I snap on this person. You were taught to suck it up. Same here. Like, my dad used to always repeat to me, that didn't hurt. When I was a kid, that didn't hurt. So I would like fall and be like, oh, that didn't hurt. So that was like my tip of the iceberg response. But really, it did hurt. I remember one time I fell off my bunk bed and I landed on my little piggy bank. Like, I hit either my arm or my head or something. I was like 4 and it hurt. I remember it hurting, but I remember crying saying, that didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. Because I was also taught to suck it up and like, let it just be what it is. So my initial reaction is to say it didn't hurt. And then eventually I learned to ignore my pain as I got older. So it can get really deep. But really, these different things, these emotions that we're feeling, and whether they cause us to stress eat, or whether they cause us to drink wine, or whether they cause us to push down those emotions and not repress them and not even acknowledge that you're feeling a certain way. How many times have you felt numb in a situation? How many times have you felt numb in a situation? I know for me, there in gymnastics, it's a sport of mainly white people, and a few people of color, very few. And so when I was in that sport, I was often experiencing racism. I was often experiencing discrimination. And it got to a point where I was so tired of feeling those different emotions that came along with that treatment that I repressed my feelings. And so I just pretended like I was fine. I sucked it up, right? I'm fine. It doesn't bother me, whatever. Like, oh, why are you getting a lower score on your floor routine compared to everybody else? Like, your routine is amazing. Like, why are the judges scoring you like that? I know in my mind what it is, and if I really sit and think about it and feel it, it doesn't feel good. So I decided to just repress it. Like, oh, I don't know, girl. It is what it is. I don't know. And it wasn't until I realized somebody pointed it out to me when I was in grad school. One of my professors pointed it out. And that's when I realized, oh, I'm repressing these emotions. And then that's when I had to let them out and express myself a little bit more. I was reading an article that was talking about, I think it was the same. Yep, it was the same quote. It was from the same article that I quoted earlier here. The self-soothing is a concept where we use certain methods to regulate feelings. Where it was talking about how, dang, I lost my train of thought. What was I about to say? I forgot. I completely forgot. But basically, yeah. So this idea of self-soothing. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into that as well. So I have a question in here for you. Do you self-soothe? And if you do, what does that look like? So when you think about the last time you felt triggered by something, and when I say triggered, that means that you reacted or you felt uncomfortable inside, and then you had a reaction. When was the last time that you felt triggered, and what did you do about it? So me yesterday, I was, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Actually, I'm gonna say that for the moon story when we get into the moon day. But my some of my forms of self-soothing, I mean, yes, I do eat. Like I like breakfast, like I was mentioning earlier. So if I'm feeling like, down about the day, or like, I'm feeling like uncomfortable by the end of the night and I want to feel better, maybe I'll make breakfast for dinner. Or in the morning, if I'm feeling anxious, then I might sit down and have like some eggs and waffles and some vegan sausage, like making myself feel like how I used to feel when I had breakfast as a kid. My mom used to cook for me, because that definitely makes me feel better. Some other self-soothing things that I do. I've been implementing meditating more. I meditate every morning, but working with my therapist has helped me to kind of realize like, oh, I can do this when I'm feeling upset any time of the day. I don't have to, I don't have to just stick to doing it in the morning just to set my day up, but I can like take some time out. Oh, I was at the airport the other day. Okay, I got a great story. So I was at the airport the other day on my way back from Florida, and I had ordered some food from a restaurant that was on the way to the restaurant. Or on the way to the airport. So I ordered my food, went to pick it up, got back in the car, drove to the airport, got there, went through security, got to my gate, put my bags down, found a nice seat with a charger so I could charge my iPad, set up my iPad. I put on my anime that I was about to watch, whip out my food, open it up, and I'm like, ooh, this isn't fried rice. I asked for fried rice. Oh, well, I'll eat it anyway, whatever. So I'm sitting down eating, watching my anime, and I get like 3 bites in. And I'm like, this shrimp tastes kind of funny. This tastes funny. I look at it, I'm like, this shrimp looks funny. Why I look like that? So I take a piece, and I pop it open, and I realize it's chicken. And if you know me, you know I don't eat chicken. I don't eat meat. I only eat fish. I don't eat meat. And I haven't eaten chicken in years. So like, and I know what it does to my stomach if I do eat it. So now I'm like, oh, I'm so pissed. Like I was ready to eat. I'm sitting down with my anime and I'm ready to go. I'm at my gate. I got a great seat. I'm so upset. And I start like feeling the tantrum coming on. I feel it. And I'm like, I'm in public. I can't throw a tantrum in broad public. So I'm like, so I like leave the plate there and I go to Burger King to get an Impossible Burger, and I'm sitting in the line. I just feel myself getting more and more frustrated, more and more irritated. And I know that feeling underneath. Well, let me reflect on that a little bit. What was that feeling underneath? Because I know it was probably anger. It was anger because they messed up my order. So underneath I'm feeling anger, but outside I'm throwing a 5-year-old tantrum. So I'm like in the Burger King line, like, So while I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, this would be a perfect time to implement some of my positive self-soothing techniques. So I turn on Calm meditation, which is it's an app, but they also have a YouTube channel, and they're called Calm, and they have a self-soothing, or it's not a self-soothing, it's a self-awareness type meditation, a mindfulness meditation. And I just played that and listened to it while I was standing there in the line for Burger King, which I did not really want to eat, but that's the only thing that was open. And and I just kind of let myself breathe through that situation because it really didn't feel good, but I knew I needed to somehow soothe myself. So that was one of the ways that I self-soothe. So think about that. How do you self-soothe? Like, what are some of the things that you do to self-soothe? What are some of the reasons why you need to? I mean, you don't have to type that, just reflect on it and answer that for yourself, because it is really important to be able to recognize that. Okay, so I want to move forward a little bit. I found another article that talks about it was actually it's a video we're going to watch in a second, but one of the takeaways that I saw was perfect Asha. Oh girl, you went in. Okay, let's see here. I strongly dislike feeling numb. Feeling numb is when I have a self-defense to not entertain the current feelings or emotions that I'm having at the time. It's not like it's like either the emotions are so deeply rooted or overwhelming, or I just don't know. Yes. Yes. Feeling numb is not a good feeling. It's not, because it's like, what is this? What, it's hard to put your finger on what it is. And you said it's when you have a self-defense to not entertain the current feelings. Yeah. So when you don't want to deal with it, you just numb yourself. That's exactly the space that I was in. Hold on one second. Somebody's at my door. I don't feel like stopping the live to go get the door because I'm at work right now. So feeling numb is when you have, or you said you don't want to deal with the feelings. So it's like a self-defense thing. Because dealing with the emotions is hard. It's tough to sit through or sit into the feelings that you have. It's not a good thing. It's not a good feeling. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that. It's like either the emotions are so deeply rooted or overwhelming. Yes, that can be so overwhelming sometimes, right? Where it's like, what do I even do with this information? Like, I don't even know what to do with this. I actually was feeling that yesterday, and we're going to talk a little bit about that a little deeper, a little later on in the conversation. So thank you for bringing that up, Asha, and for sharing that. I definitely want to touch on that a little bit deeper after we watch this video. But so the underlying piece of information that came from the research from the article that we're about to watch is, under stress, people tend to choose unhealthy, tasty options as a short-term reward. So you're like, right, for example, you may be feeling overwhelmed about some deeply rooted issue that you're dealing with or that you have. You decide to go and get some mac and cheese and greens and sweet potatoes and cornbread, and you order that from the soul food place because that's your go-to. But if you do that every single time, that's when it starts to present a problem. So I want to watch this video that will talk about this a little bit deeper.
The science behind stress eating. A new study explores how we reach for chocolate instead of an apple when we are under pressure. Our Dr. Tara Naruller is with us. Good morning, Tara.
Good morning, Vanita.
Good morning, Tara.
Good morning, Vanita.
I was fascinated that they looked at men in this study instead of looking at women.
They did. So they looked at 51 young, healthy men, and they broke them into two groups, 29 of which were subjected to stress. They had to place their hand in a bucket of ice water for about 3 minutes while they were videotaped. They then took both groups of men and showed them a series of images comparing two foods, one that was an unhealthy but tasty option like a cookie, and one that was a healthy but less tasty option like broccoli. They had to pick between these two, and at the end, they would be rewarded with one of the options they had chosen. During this time, they also scanned their brains with functional MRIs to look at blood flow to different parts of the brain. They checked their stress hormone levels and asked them about their levels of stress. So that was the basis of the study. And fascinatingly, what they found was that the men who had been under stress actually chose the more unhealthy or tasty options, the short-term reward.
You're saying there was a physiological actual something that they could see from the MRI.
There was, and that was actually what was most interesting, is when they looked at the MRIs, they found different patterns of connectivity or changes in the brain circuitry. And so what they saw was that the more primitive areas of the brain, the amygdala and the striatum that control emotion, motivation, reward, pleasure, were heightened, were amplified. And the parts of the brain that control goals, your long-term goals and planning were sort of decreased or diminished. And so there was an imbalance there in the signaling in the brain.
So what's the harm?
What's the harm? Well, I think the big thing is that we talk about willpower and self-control as if it's almost something very simple. You know, just stop eating, have more self-control. And this really tells us that there's a lot more biologically there that may be playing into it. And that it's not just an on-off switch, but that there are multiple neural pathways that are at work. And any change in any part of that pathway could offset your ability to have optimal self-control.
And that's why you say willpower is overrated. So how do you outsmart essentially Mother Nature and what is this physiological trigger?
I think there's a couple things you can do. Remove the temptation. So if you're in an office where you get stressed, don't keep the donuts around. Use other coping mechanisms that are healthier, like exercise, like social support, meditation. And also in this study, the men who perceived that they had higher levels of stress in that situation had more changes in some of the brain circuitry. So the idea would be if you can even just change how you're perceiving the stress, you may be able to change your ability to control it. Those would be some of the techniques.
My problem is not just stress, it's fatigue. I got a whole list of things that I can blame on that. They need more studies on that.
The interesting thing too is, why does this happen? And one of the theories is that it may be evolutionarily adaptive to focus on the short-term benefit. If you're stressed in the wild, you're not going to think about what's happening a year from now. You're going to think about, how do I get myself back to feeling balanced and stable right now? How do I deal with stress right now?
The interesting thing is how we can affect what goes on in our brain.
Exactly.
So like we mentioned, this does go into this idea of using other means to soothe yourself, right? So I like that the research that was brought up there, where it's more of a short-term type of coping mechanism. It's something that may be not innate, but that was learned from a young age. So like I was mentioning earlier, if you're crying as an infant and your mom gives you a bottle, but you really actually just want it to be held, now you're associating that feeling of wanting to be cared for, you're mistaking that for eating. Like you're pairing those two things together when really you want to be hugged, or you want to, so the thing is with this, when you soothe in this way, it's really not fully soothing the main root. Like you were saying earlier, Asha, that deeply rooted issue, it's not soothing that issue. It's soothing you for the right now. So really it's going to come right back. So if you have these underlying issues or feelings of anxiety wrapped around, you're trying, like I'll use myself, for example. Now I'm fully committed to being an entrepreneur. And so I'm fully committed to working on my business and my brand and building that out. And that's my source of income. So that can be stress provoking, because when you go to a job and you have a 9 to 5, you get that check every other week or every week. And that's something that, you feel secure. But when you're an entrepreneur, there's a sense of unknown. Like, when am I going to get the next check? When am I going to, book the next gig? When am I going to have my next event? That's going to, my next successful event. There's all these unknowns. So if I have all these feelings and I just let them simmer, and I'm not sitting with them and I'm not allowing them to have, the space that they need to process, where I'm maybe talking about them in counseling, which I am in therapy now, and it's very helpful. And I'm journaling them out. I'm journaling my moments of feeling irritable and trying to get to the bottom of it. And that helps me to kind of process all these different emotions of the unknown, so that I'm not having these outbursts, or I'm not like trying to eat to soothe myself. So that definitely plays a role in how you soothe. So I really like that research that we talked about here with the short term, because it really puts things into perspective. And you can find other short term things that are going to help you feel better, especially if you are able to pinpoint what the emotion is. Then you're able to directly directly self-soothe that emotion. So why is eating one of the most common self-soothers? So I have an article I have pulled up behind the scenes here. I want to read a few of the little snippets here. Eating is also associated with good times and celebration. So we talked about this last week, right? So what are some of the things that you celebrate and you go eat to celebrate? For me, birthdays, go out to eat for birthdays, right? If somebody has like a promotion, you can go and have drinks, right? That's the form of eating, form of consumption. If you are celebrating an anniversary, you go to a fancy restaurant and eat. So like eating is associated with good times. So I want to hear, what are some of the things you celebrate, you go eat as a form of celebration. So while you're typing that, I want to read out a few more. It breaks boredom. I talked about this too. Like, this is one of the things that I do. If I'm bored, I'm like, well, I'm gonna just go have a little snack, because, you know what I'm saying? My little Cardi B just came out. But food can break boredom by being an engaging task, thinking about what to eat, jumping into your cupboard or into your fridge and looking to see what's going on. And that is like a way to break that boredom. When really if you're bored, you can get it. For me, I like to color. So maybe getting out a coloring book and coloring, or maybe drinking some water instead of that, or like making myself a nice drink where I have some water and I get a lime and I cut it in half and I add some lime in there as a detoxifying thing. So I'm still like fulfilling that desire to go in the kitchen and like do things, but it's in a more healthy way. Or maybe I go and I eat an apple instead, and I cut it up and I make it cut it up real cute, and I put a little peanut butter and like make it in a way where it's not an unhealthy source for me, but I'm still like fulfilling that desire. Habit. Oftentimes in self-soothing, we form this habit where Asha, one of your things to celebrate is accomplishments. Yes, going out to eat to celebrate an accomplishment. Absolutely. I'm the same way. Me and my friends and my family do the same thing. But oftentimes self-soothing through eating is not a result of any one thing, but it's an accumulation of behaviors that have become a habit. So you wake up, like for me, this is something that I've had to break over the years, because I'm used to waking up, having breakfast, and that's like what I do. I wake up, I eat breakfast, and then I go do what I do. But really, I realized that breaking the fast, it's doing so past a certain time is better for me. So like if I eat after 12, I'm going to have a more energetic day than if I get up in the morning and eat this heavy breakfast right early in the morning, and then now I'm tired, So, and that's just a habit that I was used to, that I had to learn how to break, or how to change, so that I can have a different reaction to that. Okay. So I definitely want to talk more about self-soothing, but yesterday was International Moon Day. And the beautiful Jay created the special effects in this photo for me, which is so beautiful. I love how she did this. So beautiful for Moon Day. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about like our connection with the moon, and like the different changes when we have our full moons and our new moons, and all the things that happen. As above, guys, so below. As above, so below. So if we're experiencing certain things, sometimes it's not necessarily us. We may be collectively experiencing the same thing. So let me know if you have any of the same emotions that I've been experiencing over the past couple of days in relation to this. So zoom out. I have a zoom out here during this time, because right now is a time where we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. So for me, for example, I watched a movie recently, Judas and the Black Messiah, and it's been bringing me back to home. I'm from Chicago, and so that movie is based in Chicago. Not the movie. That history is in Chicago, and so it brought a lot of emotion, seeing like hearing the way he spoke, and just seeing the story of Fred Hampton, and like hearing all of that. Thank you, Asha. Thank you. Didn't she do a beautiful job? The photographer is amazing too. She really captured this moment. And then Jay really did her thing here with editing and making it look like I was in the nighttime. But this is actually during the middle of the day. But it doesn't look like it. But I love this photo. So yeah, so the movie really made me like realize how much strength is in our people and in Chicago and in that culture, and how how it's been kind of ripped from us, and now there's a lot of chaos. And so I was very zoomed in over the past few days, but I had to zoom out to look at the bigger picture. Like, okay, there's all these things going on, and I was feeling very triggered. I was feeling very sad, very upset over the past few days. But I had to zoom out and realize, like, I have a revolutionary spirit, and that's in my culture, that's in my roots, that's in my my city, you know. And so that zooming out and seeing that makes me feel better about the situation. Same thing with the moon. Like, you have to zoom out to see the moon. You're not up on it. You have to be, you know, you have to, it's far away, so you have to zoom out. You are zoomed out to be able to see the whole thing. And it would be the same thing if you were to leave the earth and you'd be able to go out and see the earth, zoom out, right? You see it in a bigger light. Trust. Now is also a time where, let me know if you're feeling this. Do you feel like you're transforming right now? Like, there's something in your life that you are having a complete transformation in, whether you feel like you are coming up in a new part, you're coming into a new version of yourself when it comes to your career, or like me, or you feel like you're stepping into yourself when it comes to your level of confidence, and you're feeling a lot more confident about yourself lately. Or maybe you are feeling like, man, my relationship is really growing. My relationship with my friends is really growing or shifting and changing. You know, there's something happening right now where a lot of us are feeling like that transformation, and we are really, you know, coming into ourselves in a new way. Trust that process, because it can be a little scary where you're like, man, this is something new. The Casper Slide Part 2. Sorry. But this is something new. And so, you know, it can be a little scary. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Trust that you are moving in the right direction. Just like the moon is going to be the moon, regardless of how we look at it, whether it's small, whether it's half moon, a crescent, a full moon. We can trust that the moon is going to always be there. Right? It's always there. We're always, you know, in cohesiveness with it. So same thing with yourself. Trust yourself that no matter what stage you're in, you're okay. You're good. And you know, continue to have that trust. Yes, I feel a transformation sometimes, slowly but surely. Yes, it can definitely be like little things that are happening in your life. And the more you zoom out, the more you'll see, like, oh shit, it's actually more than I realized. You're probably transforming a lot more than you recognize right now, Asha. I'm sure you are, but allowing yourself to zoom out and look at that from an removed perspective allows you to see the bigger picture here. So if you're having a bunch of little things that are happening, that are changing, that are evolving, and you zoom out, you're like, oh my God, it's actually this big picture that I didn't even realize. Like, if you think about yourself, so to zoom out, for example, think about yourself where you were this time 3 years ago. Where were you this time 3 years ago in the aspect of what you're talking about now, the space that you are feeling like you're transforming in? You don't have to answer that in the comments, because that's a very thought out question, but think about that. Where were you this time 3 years ago? I definitely think that helps you to be able to zoom out and see that you have transformed way more than you may think you have. And you're very welcome. You know, we're here to clap, snap, and shake you. You know, clap, snap, and shake it out. Absolutely. And the last thing is to allow. So a lot of times when there's change happening, we resist. But just like the moon is not going to resist the light that's hitting it. So if it's in darkness, which is called a new moon, if it's in darkness, it's not going to resist the darkness and try to be light. It's just going to be where it is. Same thing with us. Be where you are. If you feel like over the past few days, for me, for example, I've been like the new moon. I've been in the shadows. I've been like really diving into the darker parts of myself, the darker parts of my history, and the people, you know, my family and my culture, the people in my life, the people in my city. I've been really in the darkness of that and diving into it and learning, because in that darkness, you are going to find your light. In your darkness, you will find your light. So sometimes it's necessary to dive in, as long as you allow yourself to come back up. Don't stay down there, right? Yeah, you have to find that balance between the light and the dark, but you have to dive in sometimes to be able to find the light. So for me, being in the shadow over the past few days, I've realized, like I mentioned earlier, I have a revolutionary spirit, and I'm gonna utilize that in the form of providing self-love techniques and teaching these different things, so that we can learn about ourselves as a whole, as a community, and we can grow as a community. Because if I grow, you grow. I'm not going nowhere without you. If I grow, you grow. Okay. So bringing myself into that darkness to see my light and allow myself to be there. I didn't fight it. I knew it, I knew my spirit was pulling me in that way. So I listened. And your intuition, your intuition is always right. So if your intuition is telling you, hey, sis, you need to sit down and mourn, maybe you're experiencing loss in your life, whether that's people or, whether that's, a situation, whatever it is, that is darkness, but allow yourself to be there because it's necessary. Just like the moon is going to be in the darkness when it's in the darkness, you need to be in the darkness when you're in the darkness and allow yourself to be there. Okay. So I love all things moon related and the cosmics. I love that. And just a heads up, there is a full moon coming up. So that's full brightness. So we're going to be illuminating ourselves and shining. And that's even when we shine, we even shine on the darkness in that aspect. So in a couple of days, just look out for different ways that your life is illuminating, that you are illuminating, and really trust that process and allow yourself to be in that space. Okay, so here again, just like we mentioned last week, are some self-soothing techniques that you can use. So if you didn't get this from last week, make sure you screenshot it so that you can have this, so that when you're having these moments of uncertainty, of deeply rooted issues that you don't want to deal with fully, there's little things you can do to soothe yourself in the moment, and some other ways, which are I completely and fully support therapy, because I'm in it myself. And I've been looking to get into it for a few years now and find someone who is going to help me in an impactful way. So I definitely recommend that. But take a screenshot of this. These are different things you can do on your own to soothe yourself when you're in times of stress, and be able to bring yourself out of that. Okay, we don't really have time for questions, unfortunately. Well, I'll just leave time for one. If you have any questions at all about what we've talked about, anything like that, then we can go over that. But otherwise, I mean, it's always a great conversation, and I'm excited and grateful to be able to hold this space for you to grow and learn about yourself and be and learn the different things that make you tick, learn the different things that make you glow, that make you feel great about yourself, that make you feel amazing, that help you to self-affirm, all of those things that we learn in our midday check-in. I'm grateful to be able to hold this space for you, and I'm grateful that you are here holding this space with me, and you're allowing me to be vulnerable with you. It's always a good time. It's always a good time. So yes, let's jump into the last few minutes of our session, which is your journaling prompts for next week. What are some healthy self-soothing techniques you want to try? And which one of those have you done that work well? Have you done any other things that we had in a few slides before? Have you done any of these things? Which one of them work well? Which one of these things do you want to add to your list? Basically, this is you creating your toolbox, your toolkit to help you to get to a space where you know, when I feel angry, I can do this. When I feel unsupported, I can do this. When I feel, because you can't depend on other people to make you feel better. You can't depend on outside sources to make you feel better. It's all internal. Even these things, these self-soothing techniques that you use. Hi, Mika. Even these self-soothing things that you use, these techniques that you use, they come from an internal place. Like, I know that dim lights make me feel soothed, so I'm gonna dim my lights and put on some blue lights in my room to make myself feel better. So those are some different things to do. So again, take a screenshot of this journaling prompt and utilize this. This is something that you can put into your toolkit for when you're feeling upset, or when you're feeling angry, or when you're feeling triggered in any way. And then you have this toolkit that you can go to be able to help you feel a little bit better in this space. Okay. And I'm going to be checking next week. So make sure you join us next week as well, so that we can talk about this and talk about what's worked and what hasn't worked and all those things. Okay. Last reminder, the self-love celebration number 4 is going to be on this Sunday, July 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I mentioned before, it is donation-based, so everything that you donate is going to go directly towards this event, where I can start to bring it to light and really bring it into the public, where we can, I didn't even put this on here, I'm sorry. Hey, girl. This is my girl here from New York. So yeah, so the self-love celebration is a space for us to come together and to love on each other and love on ourselves and celebrate self and really like take the time to journal. We give time and space to journal. We give time and space to meditate. It is a guided meditation that we have throughout that. There is a dance party, so we do have some time to hit the groove. Ooh, I hit the groove. I hit the groove. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. There's words of inspiration, positive affirmations, and then we always end with quality time. So we warm up our tea. We sit down and we talk, we chat, we chop it up. We can ask each other questions. We can share stories. We can support each other in each other's stories and really be there for each other. So make sure you register for the self-love celebration at selflovecelebration4, the number 4, .eventbrite.com. And again, it's on Zoom, it's virtual. So no matter where you are, you can jump on and celebrate yourself because you deserve. You deserve. So make sure you turn up for that. Show up for that on Sunday at 5 p.m. And lastly, thank you so very much for tuning in to our midday check-in here in the Yes Moms Facebook group and on my YouTube channel. Make sure that you follow me on the platforms I have listed here. Instagram, I'm very active on Instagram at She Got Love. On Facebook, the same, active there, She Got Love. And then Twitter at Chantel Sarita. I'm slowly getting into Twitter because something about Twitter, I'll just be like, but I'm gonna try it out. So follow me on there and I'll follow you back and we'll have a conversation and bring the conversation that we're having here onto Twitter and just, chop it up a little bit more. So I'm so grateful for you. I thank you very much for coming for our midday check-in. You are amazing. I hope you know that. I hope you're aware of that. And I hope you carry that into the rest of your week, the rest of your day. And have an amazing day, okay? All right, y'all. Bye.